was the damn electricity. I faced a couple of electricity problems since morning, so the stream got interrupted. So bit frustrating, but no problem. I'm going to continue what I was doing. So without further ado, I'm going to start recording and also parallelly going to start sharing my screen. Okay. So now let's continue with our Sliver installation. So before that, I'm going to start recording. Sliver installation. I'm running Sliver on. Okay, here in this particular blog, they covered the Sliver installation in a single command, but you must understand the architecture of Sliver to understand it better. First of all, let me get into this Sliver GitHub page so that I can show you what are all the elements of Sliver by default you will be installing. If you see, there are two major elements in Sliver. One is Sliver server, another one is Sliver client. So it follows, the C2 server itself follows client server architecture. Okay, so you can see it can be installed on various operating systems including FreeBSD, Linux, Mac OS, Windows, and Darwin. It is widely supported, so it can be installed on various operating systems. Now, the interesting part is what's the difference between Sliver client and Sliver server. So let me tell you that. So for that, maybe if I go to this architecture, you'll be able to understand. So here they gave the architecture of the Sliver itself, and you can see the Sliver client and Sliver server. The Sliver server is actually the major part of C2, the Sliver C2, because this is the Sliver server where it's like acting like a middle point if you see this image. So the implant is nothing but the software that we planted on the victim's machine. So the victim's machine is actually going to communicate the Sliver server. The Sliver server is actually kind of a middle part, midpoint, where the Sliver client, which is nothing but ourself, the user, the C2 operator who is conducting the C2 operation. So the Sliver client is used by this C2 operator, and the Sliver clients connect the Sliver server, and the Sliver server, this is where all the beacons communicating. So the Sliver server is the major part here. So if you see, the Sliver server is also the Sliver server executable and manages the internal database, starts and stops network listeners such as C2 listeners. Though there are other types, the main interface used to interact with the server is gRPC interface. So just the communication protocol they gave. And the Sliver client is actually the client console is the primary user interface used to interact with the Sliver server. Note that the most of the code the server console is actually a client console. So if you open both Sliver server and the Sliver client binary, if you try to run the help menu, you will only see one difference, which is about the operator profile. I'll tell you what is operator profile. Operator profile is actually defines the list of operators who are authorized to access the C2 server. So that is what the purpose of this operator profile is all about. Okay, so for the better understanding, so let's go and read this particular script. So the script is supplied by the sliver.sh website, which is the official Sliver site. So I already downloaded this file. Anyway, I'm re-downloading them. Let me go to this and open it with Sublime Text. Okay, now this is the particular script that we run by simply executing this one-liner. So it's gonna curl this and sudo it into bash. And let's read through this to understand this installation better. So you'll be understanding its architecture. Okay, now Sliver, some public key, Sliver platform. This is for Linux, and it should run as root. So that's what it ensures. And installing the dependencies, and you can see its dependency: minisign, curl, build essential, git. So these are all the dependent applications. So it installs them. Then if it is a Red Hat based OS, then it installs by using yum. If it is Debian, then it uses apt package manager. If it is Arch based, Arch Linux based, then it uses pacman. So this particular code block simply installs the dependencies. Okay, I think better now. View word wrap. Okay, now if I verify the tools are installed, once they installed the tools, it actually verifies that. Then it switches the directory to root. Then what it does, it actually downloads and unpacks the Sliver server. The first stuff it does, it downloads the Sliver server. So it checks the architecture. Based on the architecture, it picks whether it is x86, AMD, or anything else. Okay, so based on that, it chooses the package from the GitHub repo. All right, now fetching the latest Sliver releases. So it makes sure it fetches the latest one. Then it downloads both Sliver server and Sliver client. Yes, downloads both Sliver server and Sliver client, and it keeps the Sliver server here in the root directory and Sliver client in the root directory. So if you get into this root directory, you will see the Sliver server file. And let's see, it also unpacks the Sliver server and then the Sliver client. So it sets the permission to the Sliver client, because the Sliver client, as an end user, they're going to use Sliver client often. And see this Sliver client, it gets copied into user local bin directory in the name Sliver client. Then they are creating a link, a symlink to this Sliver client, and it will be called as Sliver. So whenever we call simply Sliver, it's going to execute this Sliver client. And for this particular symlink, they are also modifying the permission. So this is how they installs. And another interesting stuff is this Sliver server should be running as the Sliver server should be running as a service. So that's what they do now. They're actually simply configuring it as a service. So what happens during every reboot? I guess during every reboot it's gonna stop. So that we need to start this Sliver service manually. Since the Sliver server is running as a service, so it is quite easy for us to just use the Sliver client. Look at this one. So they are configuring Sliver service, and in this Sliver service, they are running the Sliver server actually. So the Sliver server, that's what is done. And they're actually changing the owner, changing the privilege, and systemctl start Sliver. So this is what starts the Sliver service. So once the Sliver service started, it is possible to simply use Sliver command to access the Sliver server via Sliver client. So look at this one. So here's the Sliver. I think this one is actually configuration, local configuration. So what it does, in the root directory, within the Sliver client directory, there is a config directory, and in that they are actually setting up the Sliver server operator. They are also configuring the operator here in the Sliver server. So here is the Sliver server, the operator configuration. The default operator name is root, and the local host and the permission all. So this is the operator setting. And once the server client is done, they are actually changing the owner to root. And apart from that, what else this code does? Sliver client configuration, and again they're creating another client configuration with that local username. So I think they create two operator profile. One is root profile, another one is that particular user profile. So that's what is happening right now. Now I have already installed Sliver in my machine. So I'm going to verify my installation now. So let me go and start this Tmux session. Tmux new, yes, Sliver. Okay, I'm just opening multiple tabs. Okay, now I got this. Let me check the availability of Sliver. I have the Sliver now. So I just simply ls-la, it's gonna show the symlink. The symlink is actually points to this binary. So if you just check the file against this, it is the actual Sliver client. So if I simply execute sliver --help, it's gonna start the help menu. In help menu, I'm seeing few things. Let's see. I think -h. It says import version help. Okay, let's see. How about help? Sliver -h. Okay, so this is help menu, and let me check the root directory, because we've seen in the root directory only the Sliver server Sliver server got installed, and here is the Sliver server and here is the Sliver client. So let me run this. Okay, this is the Sliver client and here's the Sliver server. I will show you the difference between Sliver server and Sliver client. -help. And if you see, the Sliver server is actually having more features, including the operator. The operator is only specific to Sliver server, because in Sliver server only can define the operator profiles. Okay, let's see. Simply do this. So it's gonna open the Sliver server for us, and from this I'll be able to see the list of detailed features in the help menu. I can see the payload, network, generic, multiplayer. Yeah, this multiplayer part is actually specific to Sliver server, because this is where we are defining a new operator, kicking off the operator, and enabling the multiplayer mode. That means a Sliver C2 server can be accessed by multiple operators, C2 operators. So that's the thing. And I'm just exiting it, accessing Sliver client now. Let's see how it shows. Now you can see it's connecting to localhost. This port number it is showing. So this is the Sliver port 31337. So it internally connects. The client internally connects to this particular port to reach the Sliver server. Now connection to the server is failed because the service is not running, the Sliver service. So let me show that. systemctl status Sliver. If I see, now the Sliver service status is disabled. Now I need to do, what I need to do is, so it is enabled but it is not running. Now what I can do, I can just check the status to start this. I think the word is start Sliver. It is asking for a password because it should run as a root. Now I give the password, I authenticated. If I see the status of this Sliver, now the Sliver server is running, and the Sliver server actually executes the Sliver server binary. This particular service executes. So let me read this file. Permission denied. I go and run it with sudo, and if you see, this particular binary gets executed in this service, so which is Sliver server. Now the Sliver service running. Now let me show you SS LUNT B. You can see the port 31337. So this is the sliver port. So on this port only sliver server is running. Okay, and now what I can do, I simply connect sliver. Earlier when I just call this sliver, it was not connecting, it was showing an error. Now if I try to connect this, I'm able to connect to sliver server. Now my sliver client got connected to sliver server. If I see help, I could see every help menu which was present in the sliver server except the operator configuration, the multiplayer part that we have seen in the sliver server. So except that, it is possible to see every other thing. Now we actually have the full sliver C2 setup. It is actually done. So you need not to install every sliver client and sliver server and configure the operator profile and setting up and starting the sliver server every time. You need not to do that. Instead, you can simply use this one line command to install the sliver on your machine. Once you have installed, it will start the sliver server for the first time, but after every reboot, you need to restart the sliver service by using this systemctl start sliver command. So it's going to start your sliver server. So once the sliver server is started, all you need to do is to start your sliver client by simply using a sliver command. So it's going to start, it's going to do the rest for you. Okay, so this is all about setting up a sliver. So I hope I tried explaining it in a better way. Hope you really liked it. From our next stream, from our next video, we are going to do this sliver exploration. So we are going to bring another VM or another machine. So we're going to use it as our victim machine. So we're going to do some C2 operation. So let's put some install or some implant or beacon into the. Let's put some implant on our victim VM and try to establish a session or a beacon and try to explore this sliver. Okay, so that's what I'm planning to do. All right, I think for now it is done. Hope you really liked it. If you really did, do consider liking, commenting and subscribing this channel. I'll catch you next time with another exciting one. And till then, I'm signing off. Cheers and I love you all. Thank you so much. All right. Finally, I have done recording this sliver setup. I'm also gonna stop this stream now. I have a day job to do, so I'm gonna switch to that. I'll catch you next time with another interesting stream. Stream is actually missed because of this electricity issue I had. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a seamless stream tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna stream, so stay tuned. I'm gonna inform you before itself. So let's catch up in tomorrow's stream. I'm signing off. Cheers.